featuring Greg and Jack starts right now.
Oh, welcome into the Every Point Sports Podcast. I am Jack Neary from Fantasy Farm Sports. We have Greg Kratzer, the old gamer GK, with us. It is a Sunday. How you feeling, Greg?
I'm feeling great. We're back here with everybody this Sunday. Everything's going great. We got some great topics to talk about, so stay tuned. Yeah, excited.
It's been a busier news week, right? There's been news weeks that were a little bit slower, and there wasn't a lot of news. There was a lot of noise, which is different than news, right? So
yes.
So there's been a
lot
lot
of
noise,
chatter,
and now we have definitive news, right? We had questions about Dan Hurley, then we got answers with JJ Redick. We had questions about whether Bronny James would be drafted. Now we have definitive answers. Bronny James gets drafted 55th. And to me and everybody, it's clearly LeBron's pick, right? Because he wanted to play with his son.
Absolutely.
You know, but before we get to pick 55,
I just want to say,
let's talk about the coach's pick.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a draft pick by the Lakers at 17 for a kid that can absolutely play, and that's Dalton Knecht out of Tennessee. And
which some people were saying was to steal the draft.
That kid can absolutely shoot the lights out. He reminds me just a little bit of a taller JJ Redick, and it feels like a JJ Redick pick, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I remember correctly, wasn't Dalton two-time player of the year?
Yeah,
I think I've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, a great pick by them. I wish I could see what his stats were, but I do remember seeing that he shot like a high 40-something% from the 3-point line, which they needed big time. He's able to create his own shots, and he's a good passer. So, like I said, at 17, I don't know how he lasted that long or why he lasted that long. I don't follow the draft as closely as I do the NFL, so I do have a little bit of questions about that. Why he dropped 217 if he was such a great player? But everything I heard about him, I mean, they got a steal. And like I said, you got everybody on ESPN and Fox Sports. They're all saying that the Lakers got the steal of the draft. I don't know if they're doing it because it's headlines, because it's the Lakers. But, you know, because Lakers is news. We all know that. I mean, you know that. You talk about it all the time. Yeah. You know, there's certain teams that these mainstream media, they might not be good, or they might be mid-tier compared to the rest of the professional sport, but they still talk about them because they're headlines. But again, from everything I heard, they got to steal the draft. We'll just stick with what they say. They got to steal. He was a great player in college, so you know, we'll see.
And so it's all about fit, right? And not that Dalton Knecht couldn't have fit anywhere on any other team, but other teams had different needs. A lot of the teams that were, you know, higher up in the draft had guys suited for that position. That position was taken care of, right? So that's why I think he slipped a little bit, and then people started questioning and this, that. But he is a great player, and I actually think he landed in a fun spot.
I think he landed in a great spot, actually.
He doesn't have to do much.
Exactly.
He's not. He's very. You know who he reminds me of, actually? LeBron James played with him, and he helped him, and he enjoyed his time with him. It was Mike Miller.
Okay.
Remember Mike Miller from Florida?
Yeah.
Mike Miller could shoot the lights out. 6'6", also ran into knee issues later on in life, but he played with LeBron James in Miami.
Okay.
And just, I mean, LeBron, he was one of the players besides Ray Allen. I mean, of course he trusted Ray Allen, but that he really trusted late in games with shots.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you're getting maybe a 2024 version of Mike Miller here, and I think that's great. I really do.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Good.
Now
Like
let's
I said, I think he landed in a great spot. They greatly improved the team, and like you said, that was a coach's pick. That was a JJ pick. JJ was very, very happy with that pick.
now let's get to the nepotism.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bronny James didn't even start in college. Okay, and I understand that you're sitting there, like ESPN's whole narrative is, what player were you going to get with the 55th pick?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that answer, but I do
Neither do I.
believe that the rest of the team has to sit there and go, we didn't get the best player available.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like if you're a player trying to work your way to the starting lineup, you kind of feel like your position, wherever you're trying to get to, is diminished a little bit. It doesn't matter how hard I work. Am I friends with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
There's a bit of that you have to believe, that you have to get along with LeBron James.
Yes.
Right. Overrated. I don't know if we're talking about
Absolutely.
Connect or Bronny. I think Knicks probably talk about Bronny.
Yeah.
No.
What they got is, for the next 3 years, they got a G League player. He's not going to play in the NBA. He's going to play in the G League.
Oh, I think he plays.
You think?
Yeah, and here's when he'll play. He's not going to play a lot. He'll probably play 25 games this year, and I will bet you 2 of them will be on ESPN.
Oh yeah, he'll yes, but he won't play an NBA season. He'll be in the G League, but they'll bring him up at some point.
Yeah, and that game's going to be on ESPN.
Oh, absolutely. And why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? Father, son on the same court at the same time. I mean, even if it wasn't LeBron, it would still be a historical moment. So it'd be stupid for them not to televise it. That would have been like them not televising Griffey Jr. and Griffey Sr.
But and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I don't think people actually understand what nepotism is. Okay.
Yes.
Because what they're doing
they think it's just because you're related to somebody. No, it's because you get a job or you get a position because you are related to said person.
Right. That you weren't qualified for.
Well, no, I wouldn't say qualified for. Because you could still be qualified for it, but you ultimately get the job over somebody else because you know somebody, or because you're related to somebody. You might be qualified just as much as the next person, but you have that edge because you're related to that person.
I mean, King Griffey Jr. was better than his dad.
Griffey, yeah, I mean he's a Hall of Famer. He's a top 50 major league player of all time.
And he was going to get the job. He was going to get drafted regardless of his father. In this case, Bronny James would never get drafted because of his father, because of his accolades.
No.
He's not good enough. I mean,
at least this year he wouldn't have got drafted. There's a chance that he could have developed his game and get drafted later on, but in a year or two, after he does start starting for USC. But he, like you said, he didn't even start. You know what? A lot of your first round players, I think that your first I believe a lot, if I remember hearing correctly, a lot of them did come off the bench in the first round.
Like what? Like what's crazy to me is like he didn't even spend real court time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's crazy to me. He's not good enough to be in the NBA, yet he's in the NBA. That's
yes, because of his father. And his agent did call around to every NBA team and told him, if you draft Bronny, we're going to Australia. So Lakers was the only team that didn't get that call.
Really?
Yes, and that was reported by ESPN too, by the way.
The whole thing stinks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how is that not? I don't know. I mean, I guess you can pull that. What was it? The ball kids? They tried pulling it at one point. Didn't one of them go over there What
Well,
was
but
it?
so
Wasn't there
we
4 or 5
crushed
that wasn't?
we crushed Ball's father. Wasn't there a 4 or 5 from UConn that was 15 times better stat wise and they passed over? Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we crushed Ball's father, and we crushed Lonzo Ball
Mm-hmm.
because his dad was going out there and hammering the phone lines for him. You know? And
Yeah.
by the way, let's make a distinction here. Lonzo Ball could play. Lonzo
Yeah,
Ball
but
went
he's
to
no LeBron. Come on. And that crap with him that he could beat Jordan and everything, like he was just noise to me.
No,
That's
no,
all
I'm not
that
talking
guy
about the father.
was noise.
No, I'm not talking
Oh,
about
you're
the
talking
father.
about the kid, the son,
I'm talking
one of
about
the
the
kids.
kid.
Okay.
Right,
All
so
right. All right. I
let's
thought you were
compare
talking about the dad. I'm like, wait a minute. That guy was all
No.
hot air.
Everybody crushed the dad for going to bat for his son.
And why not? Every dad should go to bat for his son.
That's why we shouldn't have crushed him. But we won't crush LeBron for this ridiculousness.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Lonzo Ball went to a UCLA team that hadn't had a player since, I don't know, Bill Walton. I mean, they really haven't had it. The O'Bannon brothers, Charles and Ed O'Bannon. And that's early 90s. For you guys want to do some research, have some fun. Okay, UCLA really hasn't had anybody. And Lonzo Ball went in, and he made a couple players good around him. He walked into Rupp Arena, dropped 33 points against the De'Aaron Fox, by the way. I mean, he changed a UCLA team. If you were good enough, Bronny James, you would have walked into a USC team that hasn't had a player since I can't even think of one from USC.
No, but they're always solid in the tournament. They seem to make it a lot most years. They never make a splash.
He didn't make them any better though.
Mm-hmm.
And then James came through and went, we thought they would have a better culture. But they didn't, and that's why we're opting either out or we're looking elsewhere. And to me, it's like, wait, don't slam somebody else because you couldn't turn it around or make them better.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know damn well if you landed there, that team would be in the tournament. You're fantastic. Your kid's not good enough.
Yet. He was a freshman. Yet. He could have developed into a good player.
Yeah, he could have.
I mean, we don't know that. We don't know that. He could very well still. Like I said, he will play some games in the NBA, like you said. But he will be playing mostly in the G League, is where he's going to develop his game. And like I said, he could develop into something.
I think they're going to crush him because they know whose kid he is.
I mean, absolutely. They
are going to crush him.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to break his back, and they're going to find out what he has. And, he's 6'1". I think his ceiling, and he'd have to really start shooting better. That's part of his problem, right? His ceiling is probably Damian Lillard.
Mm-hmm.
If he ever got there, I'll write an apology letter. But I don't think he's ever going to get there because he's skipping steps already.
Really?
Yeah. He's going to a G League.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Mm-hmm.
He's not even talented enough for the G League right now. He's talented enough to try to be able to start in college. You're less talented. It's really when we talk about GOATs, we talk about Jordan and James.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, did James do something for his son, or did he do something to him? Right?
What do you mean to him?
Put a whole ton of pressure on him for which he's not even good enough athlete.
Well, he had a ton of pressure on him anyways. I mean, he's the son of LeBron James. I mean, that's pressure enough alone. If you pick the same sport that you're going in, that your dad played, who's top 2 player all time, there's already pressure there. I mean, look at Jordan's son that played. There was so much pressure on him when he was playing, and he didn't end up doing nothing.
In his last year at UCF, though, he averaged 14.5 a game.
I'm just saying, that was his last year too, which Bronny could do. Bronny could end up doing that.
In his first year, he averaged 8. Bronny did not do that. In his first year, he averaged 8. Bronny averaged half of that. Jordan didn't do that to his son. or for his son.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just
I don't know
saying,
which one it is, though.
we're talking about the pressure. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about the pressure that's on the kid. That's
Yeah.
all I'm talking about. I mean, anybody, you think Jerry Rice's kid that just got drafted doesn't have an immense pressure on him to do something?
Well, that kid
You
can
know,
play, though,
I
too.
mean, I'm just saying. It's you're when you're a son of a legend, I could just imagine the pressure that's on those kids.
Listen, there is more pressure on an athlete's son, sure,
Mhm.
100%. But it's apples and oranges here. Marcus could play a little bit. We knew that for sure. Brendan Rice, play, yes. Is he Marvin Harrison Jr.? No, but he can play.
No, he can
He's
play.
going to have a spot in the NFL.
Yes. I mean, he's going to be a third wide receiver right now, probably for a while. He might develop into a second wide receiver, a number 2 somewhere. But yeah, no, I mean, and just like I do, your third and fourth wide receivers on that depth chart, mid to end season, are very, very important once injuries start happening.
I think somehow, some way, he'll find his way into a Chicago Bears uniform because Caleb Williams really enjoyed his company. And that's half the battle, right? We know that.
Yeah.
Tom Brady enjoyed Edelman, and so he found him the ball, right? And once Caleb Williams gets entrenched in Bears, in the Bears system, I believe that Brendan Rice will find his way. And we're talking 4 years down the road, but
Yeah.
I do. I think LeBron James. I think he asked Rob Pelinka to draft his son, and he said, "Look, that's my favorite. That's a favor for me. Now I'm going to opt out, give you extra money to go play around in free agency, and I'll take less because you did that for me." That's what I think he did.
Yeah. Well, he wants to win a championship too, and he knows the only way to win a championship is to make that team deeper. The only way to make that team deeper is to take a little bit of a pay cut so you can sign a mid-tier player, somebody like what we talked before, like Clay. Harden's name was mentioned in there, but I don't think Harden can make more by. He can make like double by staying with the Clippers or something like that. They said. I forget exactly what it was, but it was something along those lines. But they can go out and get a mid-tier guy, which makes their team a lot better.
Yeah, I mean,
no, they are not losing AD. They're holding on to AD. They're Anthony Davis. No, they're keeping Anthony Davis. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they'll lose him halfway through the season like they always do.
I mean, besides injuries,
he's gone every year.
But again, how do you cut down on those injuries? Less minutes. How do you get those guys to play less minutes? A deeper team.
I just want Anthony Davis.
We lost you. We lost your audio. Lost your audio. Nothing. Nope. Sorry about this, guys. No, maybe some program closed in your on your computer. Nothing. Something accidentally muted.
Check.
There we go. You are back.
This.
Okay. All right. Let's do this again.
Benched. I was missing midseason, just like Anthony Davis will be.
But again, I was saying, is that the way to cut down on those injuries and LeBron James's time, because he is up there in age, so to keep him more fresh, is to get a deeper team.
I thought this was I was listening to Gary Payton this week, and he was talking about one of the toughest guys to deal with was John Stockton. And he's like, John Stockton? He goes, yeah. John Stockton he would always move without the ball. He would shoot maybe 12 times a game. He'd make 8 of those shots. He'd get to the line. The pick and rolls were exhausting. He was a problem. And he goes, every time I saw him on the court, I thought the same damn thing. He's going to make 8 of these shots. He's going to get to the line 7 times. He's going to get Karl Malone the ball. And you look up at the scoreboard, and you're like, I thought I did a really good job over there, and didn't.
No, the shirts were not intentional.
They were intentional. We get together ahead of time, right? We picked out a nice pastel. Thank you, Chef Nick. I appreciate that. For design advice and dress advice, come to the Every Point Sports podcast and you'll learn some stuff.
That's right. Little fashion advice. Try YouTube. YouTube, they might go through quicker. I don't know.
Oh, for the fashion advice. Yeah.
Yeah, for the comments to go through.
So
all right. So Bronny,
anyway, he was talking about
Bronny.
So he was talking about and I think AD and LeBron James could play more effective minutes. That's my point. I think they played more effective minutes.
I agree.
And I think that's what they're going to try to look for Bronny as well. I think that if he's going to be successful, they have to find effective minutes for him in the D League, G League,
yeah,
and in the NBA, because he's not this world beater athlete.
Mm-hmm. No. So ultimately, do you think it was a good idea for the Lakers to draft him?
I think ultimately they got strong armed because LeBron James could have said, "Well, guess what? I'm opting in, and you don't get any extra money."
Yeah.
To go play in free agency.
Or I'm opting out and go wherever that his son did get drafted to.
Right. Yeah. So was it something the Lakers wanted to really participate in? No. Were they strong-armed into doing it? Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think happened. They didn't take the best available player. They didn't even take a starting college player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Chef Nick said earlier, there was several 4 or 5 UConn players that were better than him that came off the bench. So
I mean, was Marcus Jordan better than Michael? No. How about Dale Jr.
No.
better than? How about Dale Jr. better than his dad, Ralph Dale Earnhardt?
No.
And Bronny's not going to be better than LeBron James.
No. Nope.
Now,
the only person I seen that could possibly be that's playing that is playing currently is probably Marvin Harrison Jr. Son has a chance to be better. But again, you're talking about a Hall of Famer.
Athletically, he's better.
Yes.
The sequel is never better. Yeah. That's right, Chef Nick. Chef Nick's right. The sequel is never better. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a better athlete than his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a better worker?
We'll see. People are saying he is. People are saying he is. The coaches from Arizona said they had to tell him to calm down a little bit, to relax.
Not getting a better quarterback.
No.
And I like Kyler Murray. I do. He's a great. He's a better athlete than Peyton Manning. Will he put Harrison Jr. in better positions?
Yeah, but we all know better athlete doesn't necessarily transition to better player on the field.
No, not at all. Yeah,
Peyton Manning was one of the best cerebral, probably not one of the best, the best cerebral quarterbacks to play the game.
Egghead.
Yeah. He was. He literally had a huge ass head.
I'm not throwing eggs at Peyton Manning's wonderful house, but the Super Bowl victories are Rex Grossman and Cam Newton.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right, we'll shift gears to talk about the East Coast Lakers, and that is the Nova Knicks, the Villanova, New York Knicks, because they just signed another Villanova player.
Yeah.
And that's the Wildcat graduate, Mikal Bridges. How do you feel about the Knicks signing Mikal Bridges?
With them signing him and signing what was his name? OG back. That's huge. They instantly can contend with the Celtics with this signing.
Really?
Instantly. Oh, absolutely. I find it hard to believe that you can't say that they can't contend. I mean, they were right there until all these injuries happened without him. Now you add him to that roster?
Yeah, you're getting Randall back. People don't realize
that.
Right?
Yeah.
OG's. And here's what's insane. Their starting lineup is somewhat going to the bench. Like DiVincenzo.
And so think about how deep Think about how deep they're going to be next year.
Michael
Like
Bridges,
you just alluded to it.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they're going to be disgusting next year. They really are.
DiVincenzo and Michael Bridges are 50 points coming off the bench. And it's not that's not make believe either. They can play. And I feel like, we sit there and we go, whoa, they could have got a Durant or a Paul George. Are they ascending more than Michael Bridges in their careers? I don't know that they are. They're fun names. They've got sneaker and shoe deals. But is Paul George and or Kevin Durant ascending where Michael Bridges is?
Well, how old is Bridges? Do you know approximately?
Let's say 27, 28. It's only been in the league like 5 years.
Paul George is 34. Durant's what, 30 something?
Yeah.
Who would you rather go with? I mean,
Paul
George had career years last year. I mean, it's hard to shy away from that. Kevin Durant, I mean, he's a hell of a player when you got other people around him. He's championship caliber. I don't know. That's a hard answer to that's a hard question to answer. That really is. In the long term, I think they're better off with this because they have them for a longer period of time. So that in that aspect, I believe they're better off. But as far as like you add Durant or Paul George to that team last year, I mean, that's scary. If nobody gets hurt, that's scary.
Here's, I wouldn't want Durant because Durant's not going to play the defense Thibodeau wants. He's not. I don't know whether he's capable or not. He knows basketball.
Well, I mean, he played defense when he was with the Warriors. So, I mean, he's capable of doing it when he's coached to do it.
I don't think he's.
Was he great? He wasn't great, but he was able to do it.
I mean, that was moons ago, though. I don't think he's that same player. I think
he doesn't. He's definitely slower than what he used to be. And same thing with Paul George. They're both up there.
Paul George is bulkier, though. He's a more willing defensive player.
And he's always been a better defensive player. Always.
Paul George in New York. Give me that guy. Give me Paul George in New York. If you want to pay for somebody, give me him. And again, we'll figure out where to put him in the rotation. But I don't think I'd want Durant. I think if Durant really wants to, if he wants to focus on what his career is going to eventually look like, looking back and almost forward, I think he should just go back to Golden State.
I agree.
I really do. Because, Curry needs help. He's starting to get a little bit older. You could see the wear. They're going to lose Thompson. Because Clay thinks he's better than he actually is.
Yeah.
Whatever. You've got
and who knows? I mean, you have to remember he came off of 2 bad injuries. He came off an ACL injury, and then he came off of Achilles injury. So I mean, like some people, it takes a couple years for them to come back from the Achilles. Other people never fully come back from the Achilles. So I mean, who knows where he's going to be next year?
I'm a firm believer of one thing: if you're an outstanding, freakish athlete, ACLs matter. But you still can come back and really contribute. My greatest example is Odell Beckham Jr. Right? He really came back from his ACL injury, and you were like, Jesus, this guy still has it. He could still cut. Obviously, he's had other injuries afterwards. But Klay Thompson's never been this world beater athlete. He's been
a shooter. That's what he was. Shooter and defensive player.
That's right. And if you're not a world beater athlete, you're not going to come back from these. By the way, they were back-to-back ACLs.
Yes. Yeah. No, one was an ACL, one was an Achilles.
I just don't think he has the opportunity to come back the way he really wants to.
I agree.
Here's what we do. Thompson's not coming. So we signed Durant. If you can. I don't know what the contract terms are, but if you
you'd have to do it. You'd have to do a trade. You just couldn't sign him in free agency. You'd have to do a trade. So we'd have to come up with something to trade to the Suns for him.
You know what the Suns would want? I'm going to tell you right now, and I don't know whether how this would hurt or affect each team, but I think that the Warriors could find another guy like this. If they did, I know this sounds crazy because you're thinking of the names, not the futures, but if you could do a Kuminga for Durant straight up,
I would do it.
Right, you would do it, and the Suns would too, because their new coach is Mike Budenholzer, who is going to ask you to slap the floor every time somebody walks up the court. He's very Bob Knight. He's going to ask for work, and it's going to be very hard. And Kuminga's a younger kid. Him, Booker, you got a lot of stuff in Phoenix. You're going to need a guy that does the dirty work.
Yeah.
Now, could the Warriors go and draft somebody or find somebody just like Kuminga and inherit Durant back to help Curry with some of the workload? Yes. That stuff works. You know, just like the Knicks have done. The Knicks have taken workload off of some of their star players because they know they're going to need to.
Yeah. I don't think they would do Kuminga. I would do it, but I don't think they would. I think that they love they look at Kuminga and Moody as their future.
I just want to see if you would do it, but I don't.
I would, because I've always I love Durant. If he never left us, we would have been one of the greatest dynasties ever to play the game.
And I don't think
ever
it's
to
their
play.
mistake. It's his mistake.
Oh, absolutely. Him and Green should have got together, hashed out whatever problems they had for the betterment of winning championships.
Well, Green has an obvious problem.
We all know that, but I'm just saying, like, Green has always stuck up for his teammates. The only teammate he didn't stick up for was two players, was Looney and Durant.
Well, his obvious problem, he didn't stick up for Poole either.
That's what I mean. Poole, not Looney. Poole. I meant Poole. That's who I meant. Sorry.
So his obvious problem with Durant wasn't working hard enough. And, for all the gifts Durant has, he disappears at times on the court. Durant could go out there. Durant has the scoring prowess and ability in this era of a Michael Jordan. He can go out and get 50 every night.
Oh, yeah.
The very fact that he doesn't is sad. I don't know why he doesn't.
Because he's a team player. He likes basketball. He knows he doesn't need to do it all, and he shouldn't do it all, because if you do it all, you're not going to win the game.
But there are moments where Phoenix needed 12, 13 points. And he continually passed it.
And that's not what he did with the Warriors. The Warriors, he took those shots. He made those shots.
Because you had a dog barking at your ankles every single time, and that was Draymond Green. Durant doesn't need a friend. He needs somebody behind him screaming at him.
He needs a motivator.
He might not like it, but tough cookies.
Yeah.
Because
some people you can't coach tough love, and he's one of them.
Yeah, but it's the only way he does anything. Otherwise, hey, Kevin, do you think you could give us 7 to 8 points? I shouldn't be begging for that. Booker's missing. Everybody else is missing on the team. Make the shots.
Yeah.
I'll Grayson Allen will take him. I don't know because he's not going to get along with Budenholzer. Mike Budenholzer's not going to ask him. Steve Kerr would ask him, "Hey, do you think we can let's try to find some shots for Durant?" But Thibodeau is not going to ask about a lineup change. He's just going to make lineup changes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
There might be games where, he feels like Mike Bridges is hot, and OG is going to go sit on the bench.
And
Whatever,
you can't, and I mean, if that's the way it is and they're winning, you can't disagree with what he does then, right?
$200 million on the bench, and Thibodeau will do it. He doesn't care.
No, but I mean, it will keep him more fresh too.
I mention this all the time, but I'll mention it again. Doc Rivers gets all the credit for that Boston Celtics championship. But the guy that ran the defense, that got the players to buy into playing defense, was Tom Thibodeau. Doc Rivers has never won anything without Tom Thibodeau. Anywhere.
I've always been a fan of Tibbs. Always, ever since he was when he was at the Bulls. He turned into Bulls a good team. And whether they do, they get rid of him because he doesn't score enough points. They
lost the they lost they lost Derrick Rose, and they were still in the playoffs. They ran the offense through Joakim Noah. And his fighting mantra in the locker room was, let's go out here and beat this $100 million team.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you love a guy like that. So I'm pumped for the Knicks. I'm actually happy. because we talk about the fact that, oh, but that's nepotism and, oh, Bronny James. Look, if I was the kid, I'd be happy my dad did that for me.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
He gave me an
Absolutely.
opportunity. Maybe I wasn't deserving, but I'm going to try my hardest. And I know I got a lot of pressure out here, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I'd want somebody to go to bat for me rather than not.
Listen, he got his foot in the door. Now it's up to him to see what he can do.
To be on the opposite side of nepotism isn't great, but let's not pretend like we wouldn't invite it for our own lives. Right?
Our own. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? Somebody gives you an inheritance. Is kind of a little bit like nepotism. You wouldn't get the inheritance had you not been related.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you get an inheritance. You're not sitting there going, nope, $25,000. I didn't work for that. Or take it back.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't.
You say thank you very much. You move on. You do your best with your next opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And don't get me wrong. There's some people out there. Yeah, they'll just ride that wave of the nepotism, not do anything because my dad is this, or my brother is this, and I'll just ride that wave. Then there's others that will grasp the opportunity they have.
What kind of surfboard do you think you'd have to get for the nepotism wave?
I don't know.
Oh, we have other opportunities headed our way. Brandon Aiyuk meets with the 49ers brass shortly after stating he wants to remain with the team.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1 week's time, because we've been talking about Brandon Aiyuk because you're 49ers diehard. I think I'm quite in line saying that. He's gone from they don't want me to I want to be a 49er.
Mm-hmm. We all knew he wanted to be. We all knew
floor
it.
is yours.
We all knew that he wanted to be. I said last week that whole call to Jalen Daniels was all staged, was a negotiating ploy. Just kind of proves it, I just find it really interesting that I didn't know him and Jalen Daniels was such like best friends. They stage a call like that, and then the meeting that he had, he shows up to the meeting with Jalen Daniels.
Yeah, he went to school with him together.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, for a year. Year.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I just find it really interesting. Like I wouldn't bring one of my friends to a meeting with my boss. I'm just saying. But anyways, besides that,
well, not a boss yet. They didn't. Did they offer him a new contract?
I heard they're very, very close. Close.
Then my friends are still coming to meetings until you're my boss again.
That's fine. That's fine. Because actually I still am your boss because I own your rights because you are under a 5th-year option that we picked up. It's not a player option. It's a team option.
Yeah, well,
so
like
you
the
are
rest of
under
my passes,
contract.
I'll be dropping it.
And then if you really want to get technical, I have your rights for the next 3 years. I could do a 5th-year option this year. I could do a franchise tag the following year and a franchise tag the next year after that. So I'm just saying, if I really want to be a prick here, I can own your rights for 3 years.
I'll make Gronk look unpurdy.
Yeah. But anyways, that's not the direction they're going to go. They want a happy Brandon Aiyuk. They're going to get him his contract, and it's gonna be about that guaranteed money, like we all talked about before. It's going to be about that guaranteed money.
You want to be able to run your team in 2 different ways, and so most teams like to be able to run their team through free agency and through the draft, right?
Yes,
you got two roads that you can part ways on. Right. The only team that didn't want to do that was the New England Patriots. They wanted to do it through the draft, and then they wanted to run the team into a brick wall. That's what Bill Belichick had them deal with.
And then you had the opposite side of the spectrum where the Rams didn't want to draft anybody. They just traded away all their picks and got veterans.
Right. But at least they and they paid them. See, here's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
You have to
until they couldn't anymore.
If you don't pay people, word gets around. You know what? Don't even go there. They're not going to pay you. Right? Or don't deal with him because he wants you up on Sunday. Sunday's supposed to be your day off. Right? It all depends on what situation is best for you, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you want to be able to have the 49ers don't want Brandon Aiyuk on the open market or unhappy going, yeah, man, the 49ers don't pay you.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could go here. Yeah, you might win a Super Bowl, but they're not going to pay you. They're not going to negotiate fairly. They're not going to do any of that stuff.
But we have a track record of paying players.
That's
Debo
right.
Samuel, Kittle, Trent Williams, McCaffrey just right now, Fred Warner. I know I'm forgetting multiple other people, but those are just 4 or 5 right off the top of my head. So they have a track record of paying people. Now they can't pay everybody, but they have a track record of taking care of their own.
Right. And then so Brandon Aiyuk goes, so why not me?
No, and I agree. I did everything you asked for me. I even when I'm not involved in the play, I'm blocking downfield. I do everything that is asked of me. I deserve mine now.
Well,
I get it.
What's interesting is that John Lynch probably called him in, right? This is just how I'm picturing things going, right? John Lynch probably called him in, and he went, I told you not to go to the media. I begged you not to go to the media.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, John, I want to introduce you to my friend, Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? I did his podcast because he's new in the league, and he's one of my buddies. And that's Aiyuk going, I didn't do the media. Just like you said, John. And John went, it's nice to meet you, Jaden Daniels.
So what he did is he pulled a Jack Neary. You have to remember, I used to be Jack's. I was one of Jack's managers when we worked at Outback together. And Jack would always try this word play with me. Always. But I didn't do what you said. I did this. Yeah, you know what? Like, Jack is king of wordplay, so I'm just saying.
I mean,
in all honesty, I did what you asked me to do, but
I did exactly what you said. No one's in trouble.
Yeah, but
so I put my own spin on it. No, but you know what though? I want a guy like that. I want a guy like me. No, but I want a guy like that because I'm going to ask him to do some uncomfortable things down the road, and he's going to be fine doing it because he knows that, like, hey man, we've had this conversation before, and you were willing, so you have to be willing for me too. I know that there's 2 defenders there. You might lose your head. I need that slant. I need the 5 yards. Come on. You're Brandon Aiyuk, right? You're Jack Neary, right? You can figure this out. You can swindle. You can word. You can move it. That's why I hired you. That's why I gave you extra, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I think the conversation was. That's why I actually think he brought Jaden Daniels, his buddy, in. Because he went, hey, I didn't go to ESPN. They were reporting my buddy's podcast. If anything, you need to go knock on their door.
Yeah. Yep.
Damn,
and then right after that, he sat down on Ryan Clark's podcast, The Pivot, and had a one-on-one with Ryan Clark, so.
And said, I just want to be a 49er, sir.
That's
all
right.
I had to say
That's
whole
right.
time.
That's right. And listen, and we know that the 49ers want him. It's just that, like Jack said, kind of have to meet in the middle. Like, all right, the 49ers will give you a little something extra here, but we need you to do that extra for us.
Why couldn't the listen, I understand they've been busted for this before, but let's get creative. Let's play out of bounds a little bit. Couldn't they do something like they used to do with Steve Young's contract, where they gave a little bit? They shouldn't have given it to a charitable organization. I'm not saying that they should have. But couldn't they, like, hey, Brandon, we're going to give you $28 million. And then for the next 5 years, because they're so high in California, we're going to pay your house taxes.
Yeah.
Provided you don't buy any more houses. Because that's a jerk move, and that's not what we're talking about here. But if we pay your house taxes, the 49ers, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And we talked about that. I believe it was last week we talked about that, is that the reason why St. Brown got such a big contract at Detroit was because of their tax bracket. They're one of the highest taxes in the United States. Well, same thing with California. They're one of the highest too. So you're going to have to give Brandon Aiyuk a little bit more than say somebody that lives in Florida, like a Hill, that they have no state tax. So he's making a buttload of money compared to the rest of these guys, even though their contracts are a little bit higher than his. He's still bringing home more money.
And at the end of the day, you can just take some of that money, move it over here, invest it, get a percentage back, and pay me with that. You're an organization. You're a company, right? I don't know. I think we're talking about $3-4 million, and at the end of the day, he needs $3-4 million. Like the 49ers need him to participate in their franchise. I mean, Brock Purdy needs him.
And that's exactly where we're at. We're at around that $3-4 million mark. That's where we're at. It was reported that we offered him 26. It's also reported that he wants 30, 31, somewhere in there. So we're not far apart. We're right there.
Let's give him 30.
I say give him 30, or even if you want to do 28, 29, but increase the guaranteed money. Bump the guaranteed money up by like $5 million. If you're all worried about that yearly number, just bump up the guaranteed money and drop the yearly number then.
Well, how about this? Your coach is so good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the best offensive minds in the league. One of them.
Oh, that's exactly what I was looking for. So, all right, listen, Brandon, we're going to pay you 28, but we're going to give you $7 million worth of incentives. By the way, the incentives will be, let's see, you had a 1,000-yard season last year, right? Yeah, so your incentive will be $900 or 900 yards. You had 8 touchdowns last year. Your other incentive will be 6 touchdowns. I'm going to make these easy incentives to hit.
To get.
And I'm going to talk to Kyle because I have a relationship with him if I'm John Lynch, and I'm going to go look at Kyle. What I want you to do is make sure Mr. Aiyuk here hits his incentives, because I want him to know that we're operating as a nice franchise. That's what I would do. You can do that. You can you don't have to mess around with the guy's money, and he's going to hit those incentives anyway, and we're going to help Brock Purdy as well. That's what I would do.
Now, question to you. With the 49ers throwing the ball, one of the least throwing teams in the league, the 49ers were last year. Do you think it's a good idea to have them having 2 wide receivers, one making 24, 26 mil a year, the other one making 30 million a year?
Yeah, because
and then you also have a running back that's making what, 16 mil a year?
I think that was a 2-year deal for $18 million.
It was an extension on top of what he had. So it added on to his final year. So it's technically a 3-year deal.
So here's the thing. Like, to say that they're paying 2 wide receivers that amount of money is kind of not fair. Right? Because Deebo Samuel is a running back almost. I mean,
he's a utility guy.
I've written the numbers down. He's like top 30 in the league running back numbers. So, at one point I wanted Pittsburgh to pay Le'Veon Bell. And Pittsburgh went, well, we're not paying him. And he was the number 7 wide receiver in the league. And he was the number 2 running back. And they went, well, we're going to pay you running back numbers.
Yeah.
While Sammy Watkins was getting stupid contracts. Injured every year.
Every year.
So every year. And that was his argument. Le'Veon Bell, in fact, said, pay me like the 7th best wide receiver and give me a running back bonus. And Pittsburgh laughed at him.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous because he was 40% of their offense at the time.
It was a great running back, even though he did nothing after he left Pittsburgh. But that offense was tailored around him.
Right. He made everybody look better. And, it's tough for me to get behind fans that say not to pay the player. Like, what are you showing up? Are you showing up to watch the emblem? Oh, look at it. It's so pretty. No, you're watching.
And I always use the analogy is if you don't want the player being paid, who do you want making the money? You want the owner to keep pocketing the money? Because the money isn't coming to you if the player doesn't get paid. So, like, why? Let the player get paid. Quit lining the owner's pockets. That's what you're doing.
People see that number and they go, no way.
Yeah.
I saw something funny the other day. I thought this was funny from the Clippers. and we'll get back to Aiyuk in a second. But the Clippers told Paul George that, Mr. Paul George, you have until Saturday to decide whether you want to sign and opt in to your $48 million contract. Imagine if I came home to my wife, honey, I have till Saturday to decide whether I want $48 million or not.
He opted out, though.
Honey, these are tough choices. I know, she'd kill me. She'd kill me. Honey, I turned down the $48 million. I want to weigh my options.
But he'll make that or a little bit more on the open
Imagine
market,
up the
and a lot
pearly
more
gates,
years.
telling God.
Well,
you're
what
like,
the
"Yeah,
hang
you
up
know,
with the hang
know.
up with Paul George was he went to that 4th year, and Clippers were only offering those 3 years because that's what Leonard got. Kawhi Leonard, Leonard got the 3 years. So they wanted George the same thing, but George wants that 4th year.
I know, but the arrogance, right? 48 million.
48 million. Who cares?
You know what? That's like
nothing.
12 briefcases, and I'm leaving them on the table. I don't need to play here. Someone else will want me. I just thought it was ridiculous. But yeah, Aiyuk should get paid. The sooner he gets paid, the happier I am. Right? Because all these guys that are sitting out and wondering and guessing, I'm trying to do my fantasy stuff here. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put my rankings, which Fantasy Farm Sports will have their rankings out very soon.
Ooh,
right?
That's exciting. Exciting news. Fantasy Farm Sports, guys. Make sure you look them up. All one word on YouTube.
I love putting it together, right? Because you're sitting there and I smoke cigars, whatever you guys do, right? I'm sitting there. I'm like one of those old boxing guys, ranking boxers, right? I got smoke everywhere. I'm trying to figure out my top 10. You guys are going to scream at me if I have Trevor Lawrence over Mahomes. It's not going to happen. I don't know.
It's not going to happen. I know your stance, and anybody that watches this podcast knows your stance on Trevor Lawrence.
I usually do, but what I like to do is I like to look at what quarterbacks, what type of room they have around them, right? So if they've got 3 or 4 guys to throw to, and if you have 2 Brandon Aiyuks on one team, like I don't know Jalen Hurts, it's very valuable. Like, let's not pretend like Devonta Smith out of Alabama isn't just a monster.
Oh, he is. And it's one of those things that just fantasy rankings and regular NFL rankings are 2 totally different things. Just because you're a number 1 quarterback in one doesn't make you a number 1 quarterback in the other. Just so we're clear on that.
And by the way, I just want to let you guys know that no matter what, there are quarterbacks out there that are fantastic and you can get late that no one cares about.
Yeah.
They're not sexy at all whatsoever. I'll name one. Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
But he's going to put up numbers.
Yeah.
He's going to fall to the 11th round cuz you don't like him. He's going to have the same receivers. He's going to have the same running back if the Madden curse doesn't take over. I'm saying it now.
Don't speak it into existence, please.
Okay. He's going to have the same he's going to have the same coach.
Yeah.
Same. Probably continues the same and had a monster year, like 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 4,280 yards. And it's not even that's passing. And I'm sure he had about 300 rushing somewhere. Pick up 7 here, 8 here, 10 here, right?
And I also last year he didn't have a full off season. This year he has a full off season. He's coming back from injury last year. And I don't know if you've seen pictures of him lately, but it looked like he added like 15 pounds of muscle. He's not looking jock or anything, but he's looking not as frail as he did.
But so, and everybody's high on, I'm going to give you guys a couple hot names before we shift to baseball, if you don't mind, Greg.
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
All right. So, a couple hot names, right? Jordan Love will be a hot name. For sure. CJ Stroud will be a hot name, but no one will talk about the fact that is there a regression coming with CJ Stroud? He came in the league on fire. Now there's all this kind of tape on him.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. You have tape on him now. You have people that's able to prepare. They have a whole off season to prepare for you. So yeah, we'll see.
Hot names, right? Jalen Hurts, hot name. Lamar Jackson, hot name. But Lamar Jackson, yeah, you know what? Lamar Jackson actually had a decent year last year. 24-7 for a running quarterback.
Yes,
That's
but his fantasy numbers weren't good,
because he stopped
especially
running.
the first half. I know, but that's what we're looking at. We're like, do you really want him? Even though for real football, for what we're seeing and for like reality, we would love to have him on our team because like he wins. But in fantasy football, you're like, yeah, he'll give me 40 points one week, but then the next week I'll get 12 out of him. You know, you can't run a team like that. I always lean towards the side of consistency than upside. You give me a player that's going to give me 15 to 18, I'll take any day over a player that's going to give me 30 every once in a while. You give me 34 times a year, I'll take the 12 to 18 over that 34 times a year.
You need the one thing you do need though, and whenever you decide to do it, right? Because guys filter in and out of your head throughout the week and what you're thinking, right? You do need the flex bomb, and by flex, the master flex bomb ever was Deshaun Jackson.
You know what my master flex bomb used to be back in the day was Charles, running back from Jamal Charles. He was my flex
you have
player.
Him at your flex. It was before.
It was, dude, if you remember, I had him as a flex player in my Outback League because that was before he turned on. Everybody slept on him every year. He kept getting injured, if you remember. Early in his career, he was getting injured all the time. So people stayed away from him. I grabbed him like 2-3 years in a row later in the rounds, and I started him at flex every week. The 1 year that I did start him, I think I won the league.
You know who's a flex bomb that everybody drafts early, and then they remember who he was again, and they go, well, damn it, it's Amari Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah. I had him last year. Listen, he had some nice games for me last year when I needed it.
He was much more consistent last year than probably ever. But there were 5 games 2 years ago where he scored 2 touchdowns and 160 yards in each one of those. I think he had 3 touchdowns in one game.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you you can't start him. He averages 3.
Yeah.
He averaged 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything but that, but throw him in the garbage. And then he's sitting on your bench. You're like, 45 points on Thursday night. Huh.
Yeah.
I lost by 20.
That's like Dak. You know, I 1 week he gets me like 48 points. And then my second game into the playoffs, which a league I only had 1 loss in, he gets me 2 points. 2 points from my quarterback. 2.
That's a tough.
I'm not like, I don't hold it against him, as you can see, but you know, 2.
That's a tough day. I'm gonna get you some Dak memorabilia.
Yeah. I'll never touch him again. But anyways,
from Fantasy Farm Sports, we have draft boards as well on the way. They're gonna be fun. We'll have draft boards on the way. We're going to have championship helmets as our trophies.
Yes, right, you have 4 leagues starting, correct? Right? 4?
Yeah, we're gonna have a goat league. We're going to have a pig league, which I'll be in because I'm a big pig, you know. We'll have a pig league. We'll have a pony league, and then the lowest league for novices will be the cow league, right? So you work for yourself from cow to pony, and then I think we might do something. I've been playing with this idea a little bit. If you finish last place in the goat league, you have to go back to the pig league, and same with the pig to the pony to the cow. I think that's a cool little concept, right? Because there's
absolutely.
There's got to be last place consequences, you know. We can't just leave you in the goat league when you finish last place. You ain't no goat. Greatest of all time. We're never gonna have to worry about that, though, Greg.
My plan was to join all 4, and to have all 4 helmets behind me here. You know, next to the Niners Joe Montana signed helmet.
Oh, that's great. That's cool.
Yeah, no.
That's cool. Yeah, and then what we do is you get a gold helmet, which you'll want.
I always want the gold helmet.
So the gold helmet is for first place. and you'll get the decal trophy from that league. Then you join the next league, right? And you can add a decal, or you could pay for the helmet as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Silver and then white. White is third place. White's not what you want, even though it still looks pretty nice, right?
It's nice and clean. White's nice and clean. It's as
Nice
you can
and
see the background, just nice. It's just a nice, clean look. That's it.
Patrick Willis back there hanging out. Yeah, nice and
Yeah,
clean.
you know.
But those are some ideas.
Who's
for
getting
people
a
around
Hall
the-
of Fame, by the way, this year? Congratulations, Patrick. Finally, Hall of
Maybe
Fame.
Patrick. And those helmets are going to be provided by our new sponsor, gridironhelmets.com. A good friend of mine, he said that he'd be willing to lend a hand if we helped promote his product a little bit. So, I'm really happy to have somebody on board helping me out with some trophies.
Yes, that's great news. Great news. So that's
All right,
kind of
what do
the
we got?
rundown for fantasy stuff this year.
I'm excited. I
Oh,
don't
so am
start-
I. I love fantasy football season. I just
I
do.
don't start getting excited until we get to camp, and we got camps coming
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Camp buzz is better than the games.
Yeah. I mean, we all could be, couch GMs then,
Oh,
So
yeah, I just
we
wanna
all
hear,
love
like-
being the couch GM.
I just want to hear that Aaron Rodgers is now licking toads in the locker room before games. That would be like, oh my God, he's on another ayahuasca retreat. I don't know how it works. Don't get after me, ayahuasca people, but I'm just saying, wouldn't that be cool? You're like, what is he on?
A little
He's smoking-
a little quick fact about that ayahuasca. It's one of the things that best treats veterans with what is PS
PTSD.
PSD? Yeah, PSD. Yeah. Yep. It's proven. And the veterans that I've seen that has went through this, they said it's amazing. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. We know why most people take it because of the effect that you get from it, but there is also a small group of humans out there that take that stuff for more of a mind opening and to heal themselves mentally, because we're not everything could be healed through what we know medically. There is stuff out there that we still don't know, and the medical field's still learning. There's a lot of stuff that's taboo out there that the medical field doesn't want to touch, and this is one of them. So I just want to kind of throw it out there. You guys do your own research about it, but it is an interesting fact that I've learned.
Maybe he's starting a new foundation called Tripping with Veterans.
What, Jack?
Aaron,
Yeah,
Aaron, are you getting ahead of the curve? He has to try. Hey, listen, not only a sponsor, I'm a member of Tripping
there
with
you go.
Veterans.
I'm a member.
That's right. That's right. Remember when I said I was in Egypt? I was up here. All right,
Good
so
stuff.
we
Good
haven't
stuff.
had camps yet. We haven't had
Correct.
camps yet. We have covered our brawny. We've done our brawny basketball bounty of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some baseball, because I've bought the MLB ticket, which means I'm watching a lot of it. I want all my money's worth. I'm in 7th innings, 5th innings, 4th innings, 3rd innings. I'm watching all these pitcher changes. And what's interesting to me about baseball is, it's not over until mid-July, late August. Your
Mhm.
team still has great opportunities. It begins in April, May, but you really need to start. Cold weather teams have difficulty early. I don't know whether you guys know or not, but a wooden bat off this ball hurts.
Yeah.
You want hits, but you don't really want to hit.
Mhm.
You're getting that reverberation, and it's a real tight. And you're playing through snow games up in Detroit and Chicago and Pennsylvania. It's colder up north. Boston, my God, they're wearing earmuffs until last week.
Yeah. Yep.
Winter coats, but they love their baseball. And I want to just highlight the fact that the Mets started off, like the Mets, baby.
Yeah.
They were playing awful. They were. They couldn't. They
No,
had
they
a
were.
great starting. They had. Look, see this? The piece of paper, and that's how great their lineup on paper was. Fantastical.
Mhm.
They were really good, but they weren't hitting the ball.
Yeah.
And what's funny about baseball is that ball, nor does the pitcher care about the last name on your jersey. The only people that do are the fans. And the Mets were one of the worst teams in baseball. They were 11 games behind, or they were 11 games under 500. Well, I'm happy to announce that as of 2 days ago, they are 1 game above 500.
Okay.
That's but like 11 games behind. Not only do you have to make up what you lost, you got to ebb and flow. And by the way, we're traveling out to. We got the Dodgers in 3 games. We've got this team in 3 games. They just lost to Houston yesterday, but Houston's getting better as well. Just because you're 11 games back doesn't mean you're out of it. They had a managers and players meeting. They all got together and they went, "Hey, you guys hit the ball. We have the players here.
Yeah.
Don't get down on yourself. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel." And little by little, they won a series. Then they won the next series. Then they won 3 in a row. Then they dropped 1, but they won another 2. And I'm not saying the Mets are back.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they're playing competitive baseball. And for all the Mets fans out there, actually, I know a couple Mets fans on Twitter, you got something to write about. And that's what the summer matters, right? You got Lindor hitting. You've got Pete Alonso starting to hit. J.D. Martinez, older guy, takes him a little bit. These elbows? You get older, they start making noises you had no idea about. Right? You need a little bit of fish oil. You need to move around a little bit. They're playing the old Meet the Mets songs. They are. They're playing the old Meet the Mets songs. Speaking of another cold weather player who's starting to get hot, Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins. Okay, 4 out of 5 games he's hit home runs in. And the announcers the other night for Twins baseball, they were talking about he's gotten rid of analytics. He's stopped thinking about what the pitchers are going to throw him, what the pitchers think about him, what his tendencies are, and instead he'd rather just go up there and play baseball. What do you think about that?
I think it's good. I think it's really good. I think, like you said, the way they're thinking, it takes the pressure off of him. He's not in his head. If anybody that plays golf knows, sometimes you just get up there, you whack the ball without even thinking. That's a perfect shot. Then there's other times you get up there and there's 100 different things going through your head, and then you have shanking the shot. So it's same thing in baseball. He just needs to get up there and just do what he does instead of getting up there and thinking, oh, is this a slider? Is this going to be this? Is this, you know what I mean? Like there's too much going through his head, I think.
Yeah, instead of trying to catch the spin or going, man, all right, that's 2 balls. What is he going to throw this guy on a strike? What would he throw me? He's thinking about all this stuff, and he's reacting slowly. I mean, you could tell in April, the bat was 2 seconds behind every ball, and he's good.
Yeah.
And for it to be 2 seconds behind every ball, you're sitting there going, man, has Bucks lost it? Like maybe he just doesn't have the swing speed anymore. He is absolutely – the ball that he hit last night, you're just like, I don't even know why that fielder's running towards the wall. He absolutely crushed it, and it made the difference.
Yeah.
It made the difference in the game. They were up 2-1. They had 2 guys on. Well, I mean, and I believe they had 2 outs. So, like, hey, man, you got a hit here. You at least need a single or a double. Single or double gives us 3-1. Playing the Mariners in Seattle. This isn't going to be a pleasant road trip as we head down the coast. And, and Rocco Baldini, their coach, was asked as well, does he think that he'll move Buxton from, I believe, batting 7th up to 4th or 5th in the lineup? And his answer was, why would I mess with a guy who's starting to hit well?
Yeah.
He's figured out something that's working for him. So if the 4th and 5th guy know that they have a 7th guy who's batting with an absolute sledgehammer right now, maybe they don't have to feel as much pressure to hit a home run as your 3rd and 4th slot do, right? Maybe they could just hit an easy double, let Bucks come up, bring him in.
Yeah.
And he's gone, he started the season very slowly. To give you some context, Aaron Judge has 30 home runs. I think Ohtani's at 25 right now.
Let me just tell you here real quick. Aaron Judge hit his 31st today. They're leading 4-0.
He's doing it.
Yeah. Yep. So I wanted to when you were done talking there, I wanted to let you know about that.
No, that's great.
Soto,
that's a good update.
he was he was reported not to be in the lineup, but at the last minute he was inserted into the lineup.
Judge.
So No, Soto. Because you were
Okay.
talking about Soto before. You mentioned Soto real briefly. I just wanted to let you know, Juan Soto, he was announced that he was going to be out with a sore hand, but minutes before the lineups were handed in, he was inserted into the lineup.
Okay,
So
well,
just
that's good.
some quick notes real quick on that.
Otani's got 25, Judge is at 31. We've got a
Yep.
real, what it feels like. It's starting to become. It feels like a home run race.
Yeah,
Um,
Otani and Henderson both have 26
and Henderson hit one yesterday. It was a birthday,
yesterday.
so that's
Yep.
kind of cool. So
Yeah.
Buxton's got 10 now, and I'm not saying he's going to catch those guys, and it doesn't matter if he does or doesn't. But he's that kind of athlete, and he's that kind of hitter to where he can start catching one or two, maybe.
Yeah, he could catch on fire.
You can catch on fire. I mean, 4 and 5 games. I mean, you're in a derby now. I mean, that's pretty impressive to go from 6 to 10 in just a blink. You know.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
he's swinging the bat. And by the way, before that home run, he hit a double that hit off the wall. I mean, he's seeing the screws off the thing. Injuries.
Yeah.
Injuries are starting to
Pile up.
hurt some of our teams. The Phillies are still in first place, although they gave it up briefly to the Cleveland Guardians. The Phillies have maintained the best record in Major League Baseball, despite Kyle Schwarber having to go on the 10-day injured list, and Bryce Harper has just landed there as well. The Harper thing concerns me a little bit because it's his hamstring. So
Yes, that could be a lingering injury.
you can't really tell. It's hard. It's hard to know. You know, he can come off the 10-day, and then 2 days later, bang, it's back again. You know,
Yeah.
this could be an on and off, real problem. I don't know if it's a fluids thing. I don't know if it's trainers thing. In fact, what scares me the most is Bryce Harper said he's never really felt anything like it in his life. And I went, oh my God, he's getting older.
Oh, that's not good.
Right. When
Yeah,
you
that's
start
not
to get
good at all.
older and you're not really sure, problems arise and you don't know how to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
That's my concern. Like, his time is starting to run a little low.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
How long
Mookie
is he on
Betts,
the? How long is he reported to be on the DL for?
It's 10 days.
Okay,
Whereas
so
Mookie Betts,
it's not bad. It's not a tear or anything. It's probably just some tightness.
it's soft tissue is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Where Mookie Betts broke his hand on a ball that hit him.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody breaking their hand, but I'd almost want to know exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Broke his hand on a ball that hit it. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not cool, but we have a result here. Where Harper was running to first base and just kind of started grabbing the back of his leg.
Yeah.
Like someone shot him. It looked like somebody shot him.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wasn't playing for Philly and he was playing against Philly, you'd want to look in the stands to see if someone actually shot him.
And the one bad thing about the soft tissue injuries from knowing in the NFL anyways is that you don't like to hear that because soft tissue injuries can be reoccurring. Just when you think it's done, that shows right back up. So at any time. So, yeah. So again, I hate to tell you, Philly fans, that this could be something that lingers throughout the rest of the season for you.
No, you don't. You hate Philly fans.
I do hate Philly. Only great thing about Philly is a fictional character, Rocky.
Oh, don't listen, Philly. Don't you listen to him. Daddy loves you. I love Philadelphia. I love Philly fans. I'm
Listen,
we're wearing Philly
I
colors. Look at
wish. Listen, if the Philadelphia Eagle fans were more tolerable, I should say, in a pleasant way,
you live in that city.
I would love to root for him because listen, your starting quarterback, one of your better wide receivers, Smith. I mean, you guys have Bama players. You guys have an offensive lineman that's from Bama. Bama is my team. I would love to root for you guys, but unfortunately, I can't because I can't wear my damn jerseys to your games.
You're just a hater.
I'm not a hater. I'm really not. I truly, truly wish if my Niners weren't good, I could root for the Eagles. I really do, but I
I
can't.
love people that say that for no reason. Like, you're just a hater. No, actually, I have a reason. Somebody dumped a cheesesteak on me because I wore a 49ers.
I mean, I watched somebody piss on a Dallas Cowboy blanket. Yeah, I get it. It's the Cowboys. I'd piss on it too. But I mean, come on.
Yeah, but that was a homeless guy, and that was his toilet.
So
He
the
got
homeless
free
guy had
tickets.
enough money to get into the game, but not
He
enough
got
money
free
to,
tickets. It was a radio
Okay,
channel that he
all
called
right,
in.
all right, all right. Fair
Says
enough.
fake phone. Hello, hello. This is Joe. Sir, you're talking into a can.
But anyways,
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be tough though. I mean, to be
Yeah.
quite honest, it's gonna be tough filling in the charisma to which a Harper and a Schwarber bring you. Right? They don't
oh,
necessarily
absolutely.
bring you
Yeah.
hits all the time, but they bring you confidence.
Yes.
And a lot of golfing and baseball is confidence based.
Mm-hmm.
You need
Yep.
to have
A lot of
confidence.
mental.
You need to have confidence in the tools you're using, or you know, for lack of grosser situations, the underwear you're wearing for the week because you're hitting well. Listen, it happens. You guys don't think so? There's a full internet out there for you.
Listen, Dion said it the best. He goes, "If I look good, I play good."
Oh, I like that quote.
So
I like that quote. Oh, one more baseball related news. Since you brought up Dion, Bo Jackson was inducted into the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame
Ooh,
yesterday.
very nice.
Posted it on
Very
Fantasy
nice.
Farm Sports Facebook group. It's actually, I didn't post it. Chris Neary posted it, and it was kind of just cool to see. It was a nice ceremony. It was a nice reward for a guy that didn't get to play as long as he wanted.
Yeah. It's just body couldn't do it, you know. But as far as pure athlete and two different sports, excelled in two different sports. Yeah, anybody that's our age or a little bit older than us, we grew up and we envied Bo. You know, Bo knows. We all remember that commercial. Bo knows. You know, so
And the reason
great
why
for him. I'm really happy.
I brought it up because, well, you brought up Deion Sanders, and they're the only other, they're the most prominent two-sport athletes.
Two sport athletes, correct?
So I figured as long as Deion Sanders was getting a mention, I mean, Kansas City just got their guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So guys, you can go out and buy those legacy jerseys now. That's what Kansas City Royals want you to do.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
It's okay though. It's okay. What do you, George Brett and Bo Jackson, baby? That's what you got.
You know.
Actually, a great George Brett story. Before we give our final points here, George Brett was batting .410, I believe, for almost a month. And I mean, he was on absolute fire. George Brett was I believe, his average was a little bit better than Ted Williams for a moment.
Oh,
we all know Ted Williams bat. You're right. And he went to golf on for the day because he had a night game, and he was standing on the green, and somebody screamed four, and everybody else went around, and they turned and they went to duck. He turned around with his putter and hit it back 100 yards in the opposite direction. And it seems like a tall tale. But I've talked to a guy that was there.
Yeah.
He was at my bar the one night, and I said, "How true is that bullshit story?" And he said, "With all due respect to George Brett, that story is not bullshit. I saw him."
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
That's
so
great.
I thought that was a kind of cool George Brett story to share. What are your final points, Greg? What do you got?
I got a couple things this week that I want to do. Some quick hits here. Let me just bring this up real quick. There we go. Quick hits. I got two stories real quick. Since you talked about golf real quick, I got a thing. I was watching Phil Mickelson and a DeChambeau doing a match play on YouTube. DeChambeau has a YouTube channel, and he does matches with other golfers and celebrities and stuff. And they were talking about DeChambeau's clubs. And I thought it was really interesting to what he says, because I guess golfers are so used to changing their swing or changing their approach to their swing by what clubs they are using, whether it's a TaylorMade or whether it's a Callaway. We all know Mickelson's famous with the Callaways, but they all change their swing slightly to the club that they're using, because they're used to a 7 club having dismantled off. their six club having this amount of a loft. So when that loft changes just a hair, they change their swing just a hair to compensate that club.
Okay.
But anyways, Mickelson was asking DeChambeau about his the lofts on his clubs, and they're talking degrees and stuff that it's going over my head. I have no idea. But the one thing that DeChambeau said, he goes, I want the clubs to work around my swing. I don't want my swing to work around the clubs. And Mickelson stopped and goes, huh. And then that's it. It was dropped at that. But that's one thing that really resonated with me, that he wanted his clubs to work with his swing and not the other way around. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, so he's saying that he's not willing to compromise what he knows that he does at all times.
At all times. Correct. He wants his clubs, bend my shaft, bend my loft to whatever I need for my swing. I'm not changing my swing for however I'm doing it. You need to change your clubs for my swing. Is what he.
Yeah, that is
interesting. So, anyways, I thought that was really, really neat. I never heard that before. It's something that I never really thought about. So it's just a really quick hits, as we like to say.
That's a good quick hit, and that's kind of a good lesson for life. If it works for you, then stick with it.
Correct.
What works for you might not work for somebody else, and the tools that you like to use are they're special to you.
Yes.
And they work for your hands better, and you're a completely different person than your neighbor. And although the scores and results could be the same, you use different things.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And my final one for this evening, we all know I love telling stories about former players. Our players are former players. And this was one that I heard from Carmelo Anthony. He was on one of the podcasts, and he was talking about that redemption team that JJ was on, and how much Kobe Bryant hated him. Kobe could not stand JJ because Coach K did nothing but brag about his boy. Throughout all of practices, all throughout the Olympics, did nothing but brag about his boy JJ.
Is that
right? So at practices, like Kobe took it personal, like literally took it, like setting hard screens, putting him on his ass, like fouling him, everything. And one day Carmelo goes up to Kobe and goes, Kobe, what's going on? Why are you picking on this kid like this? He goes, fuck that JJ. That's what he goes. He goes, fuck that JJ. He goes, Coach K wants to talk about him all the time. I'll show him. So just kind of like, wow. Yeah. Yeah. I loved, when I heard that story, I started laughing my ass off.
Hey, you know what that story makes me think about?
What's that?
LeBron James said this week that they made a mistake by letting me and my son play together.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah?
But
okay.
Just so you understand, that you cannot protect the kid all the time.
That's right. Yep.
Right? Like,
you could say all you want, talk all you want, but when somebody's sitting that hard screen, you can't go up to that guy.
There's a bench and a scorer's table, and sometimes you're at both of them and he's on the court.
Yep.
And that's the first, as soon as you said that, the first thing I thought about was like, you're making things a little bit more difficult than maybe he's ready for.
Yeah. Yep.
And maybe he is, and maybe he is not. But it will be must-see TV when
what do you do? Well, exactly. But what do you think, Coach K? Do you think Coach K thought he was ready for that, or Coach K wanted to see if he was ready for that?
Well, I mean, as you know.
Because Coach K he was very intentional with things he did. So he was talking him up for a reason. Was maybe for the competition at practice, maybe?
So Coach K, as you know, was the assistant coach to Bob Knight at West Point, or you guys didn't know. So I know that we don't like the way Bob Knight ended, but if you didn't have the Bob Knight beginning, you wouldn't have gotten the Coach K at Duke. And like you said, very intentional in the things that he said, right? So I think, to me, I I think it was very intentional, but he also knew that JJ can handle it. So he wanted to
Okay.
push Kobe. Right?
Mhm.
Kobe thought he was probably the golden goose of that team.
Yeah.
And Coach K wanted to let him know very quickly that he was unimpressed.
Hmm.
Much like Bob Knight did with Michael Jordan. You know,
Yes.
if you watch the Michael Jordan interview, he said, he might yell, scream, and curse a little bit, but he just wants the best for us players. And if you
Mhm.
understand that about Bob Knight, he goes, you get along with him just great. And I think you can actually connect those timelines because Kobe's sitting there going, I'll kill him. I'll kill your kid because I can't get to you. And I know what you're doing, so you better figure out how much that kid can handle. And Coach K is just pushing buttons, baby.
Pushing buttons. And that's what I
That's
thought he
right.
was doing too, is pushing buttons. That was
Now,
my first thought. Now, did I love it? Yeah, absolutely. Because one, you're pushing the buttons of your star player. And two, you're seeing if your young guy that is coming back to Duke the next year, is he as thick skinned as you thought he was?
yeah, you don't want to Neil Reed. I said it. Oh,
Couple
God.
things from our people in
Don't
chat.
cry to your
Bums
parents.
them Niners are. Daniel, listen, if we could, we had enough people watching where I could ban you, I would, but we don't.
No, hold
I'm
on,
just
Let me,
kidding.
can I stick up for
Just
Daniel for a
kidding.
second?
Yes.
I just want to stick up for Daniel a second. That might be our fault because I was describing the homeless for a second with the Cowboys thing, and maybe he kind of blended that into the 49ers
You know what?
story.
I do remember he is a Cowboys fan, so.
That could be because we were talking about the bums and the Cowboys blanket and then the Niners, and he could have got Daniel. I got your back. You could stay on here. That might have been, those stories kind of meshed together to form one terrible.
Got a couple more. Likeable clamps. Technology overcomes the swing. For us amateurs, yes, you are correct.
I got a story about
the
that.
PGA, they do have strict guidelines when it does come to technology, which I'm sure. And if I remember, Likeable clamps is an extremely good golfer too.
All right, Likeable Clamp, let me talk to you for a second if you're still on here. I actually have gone backwards in technology with golf.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought many moons ago. I bought TaylorMade RSIs because I want a little bit further distance, and they're game improvement golf clubs and all that other stuff. And although they did improve my game, the mistakes that I make on my swing don't give me immediate feedback. And by accident, I went to play it against sports, and I bought these Ben Hogan producers, and I've kind of just been messing around with them lately. And I actually went out and played with them because I wanted the immediate feedback from the golf club. I want my hands to hurt a little bit. I'm a weird guy. I went out, though, and I really played and finished every single swing instead of letting the club do the work for me. I got instant feedback every single time. With blades, you figure it out real quick. Anyway, I shot an 87, and I know that the technology makes it a little bit easier for us to improve our swing. But once the swing is improved, what would you really like? The club to keep fixing things, or exactly when to fix it?
Mm-hmm.
So,
For us
just a
amateurs,
thought.
though, it's nice to have that forgiveness that the cavity backs give us.
Yeah.
Okay, and the another one, hard screen in today's NBA. Ha ha ha. I think we're talking about the Kobe Bryant. So back in those days,
That was the Olympic team,
I think
too.
it was. Yeah. What else? What do we got? As an old man, I need the technology. All right. Well, it's true. The older we get, the more technology we need. Believe me, I'm getting up there. I'm 1 year away from 50. So.
These aren't even real elbows.
No?
No,
No?
they're bionic.
Bionic, huh?
Bionic bows is what I call them. Actually, that's the company's name. Go look them up.
But as far as going back to this hard screen in today's NBA, you're right. Nah, there is no hard screens anymore. But I was talking about the redemption team and Kobe giving the hard screens at practice and just putting JJ right on his butt. So that's what I was talking about. Anything else, Jack?
Oh, no, I think we got everything covered. We covered the Bronny situation. We did well to update people with the current state of the Nova Knicks, the Brandon Aiyuk situation seems to be resolved.
We're getting
The
there,
weeks,
closer
the
and
weeks
closer.
have been right.
And
They were like
I
this.
predicted in our earlier podcast, one of the earlier ones, that about 2 weeks in the training camp is when he would be signed.
Well, I mean, let's get him signed because otherwise, I can't put him. There were many people. There were other publications. I'll say not many
Mhm.
people, but other publications last year that were putting players in specific slots as far as ranking systems go, and they still weren't signed, and it was week 3, week 4 into training camp, and that's absolutely true what he just posted about Paul George
Oh,
or about Paul Gasol.
mhm.
But anyway, I can't rank you if you're not on a team. And if you haven't
Correct.
signed your contract, technically you're not on a team.
There's nothing for him to sign. He's under
I know.
contract.
No,
It's
I know
not.
that,
It's
but
it's a 5-year option is not the same as a franchise tag. A player has to sign a franchise tag. A player doesn't sign a 5-year option. No, that's the team. Either
no,
the team does it or the team doesn't. Has nothing to do with the player either wanting to do it or not.
I was referencing people what they were doing with Saquon Barkley last year.
Okay.
And they just he's ranked 4th. He's not on a team.
Yeah.
He won't sign the Giants
Tender.
offer.
Yeah.
And they're like, I think he could finish 6th or he could finish 7th. I'm like, I had him ranked. And I changed my rankings once he was signed. That's why you need to go to the page and watch the updates. But I had him ranked 25th,
Yeah.
and
And-
that was a gracious ranking, I thought, because he wasn't on a football team, just like me. And I didn't rank me at all.
It's one of those things, though, and you really, when it comes to holdouts, you have to look at the position, because I believe it is easier for a running back to miss time than a wide receiver to miss time.
Well, you can only hit one of them, so.
I'm just saying. I mean, when you're coming out of college, a running back, you more often than not produces quicker than a wide receiver because it's an easier transition.
Yeah, I mean, it's hold the ball, run into a pile of guys,
Run
get
the
4 or
hole.
5 yards. Fine.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Find the blockers. Likeable Clamp had a good time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for a couple minutes. Got to run. Enjoy your Sunday. Greg, you don't have anything else? I don't have anything else.
No, that's it. Appreciate the chatter in our chat here, in our comments. Guys, remember, keep those comments coming. We will definitely at some point talk about it in our podcast. So yeah. Also, guys, don't forget, those of you guys that we know that are knowledgeable, or jump over to Fantasy Farm Sports. Make sure you Jack is looking for writers over there. So if you're knowledgeable about any sports at all, or just generalization in sports, jump over there. He would gladly like to have you as a writer. And if you are knowledgeable about sports, and we know you are knowledgeable about what we are talking about, we are not opposed to having you on the show too. So at some point in our weeks to come.
Yeah, I appreciate the call to action, Greg. And also, guys, subscribe to the Every Point podcast, right? The Every Point Sports, right? That's why we do this. We do this so we can have interaction, so we can give our opinions. We know you guys have long work weeks, so that's why. And you might not catch everything. We live, we follow, we enjoy, and we look up all this information, and we provide it to you guys on a Sunday so that you have some context going forward on your favorite team, or at least your favorite sport. It's really important to us that we can give you all this information. So please be important and subscribe to our stuff, because it's really important to us.
Absolutely. To kind of piggyback off of his subscribe stuff, I want to give a special thanks to everybody out there. We reached over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. When Jack and I first started this podcast, I used it mainly as a gaming channel. I had 23 subscribers. Now I have over 1,000. So greatly appreciate that. We're getting about 1,000 views every week, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 views every week on our podcast now. What I really need you guys to do, though, is please just kind of watch the whole podcast. Don't watch snippets. We need to get those viewing hours up. Those viewing hours are low, but our subs are up there, which I greatly appreciate it. So watch our whole podcast.
Yeah, guys, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Just or close your eyes if it's my face doing it.
Or just have us on in the background so you could just listen to us. I know I'm one of the better ones to look at here. Jack is kind of, not easy on the eyes, but
This guy, I'll tell you what.
Guys, would you tell him, guys, in the comments, please, in his comments, tell him to do his mustache up.
That's up. I did it. Look what I did. I stay fluffy,
But yeah, that's all I got for this week. But like I said, we greatly appreciate you guys' support.
All right, guys, we'll see you again next Sunday on the Every Point Sports Podcast, and you'll get a notification because you have subscribed. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Have a great day.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Every Point Sports Podcast featuring Greg and Jack.